Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Michelle, and I am here with you tonight from Wayside Publishing. And we are going to look at remote teaching and learning with Wayside Publishing. So, particularly, we're going to look at the learning site. So before we start, though, I want to make sure that everyone knows that we are recording this session, and it will be available for you to pass on to other colleagues that weren't able to make it tonight if necessary. But we are going to record that. So by staying in here, you're allowing this to be recorded, and we're going to go ahead. So before we start, and there's going to probably be people popping in little by little, and we welcome people as they come in. That'd be great. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself before we hop right into looking at the learning site and going over our objectives for tonight. So again, my name is Michelle Ola. I am one of the instructional strategists here at Wayside Publishing. That's just a fancy word for an instructional coach. We're the content area specialists. So we're here to help you with teaching, learning, pedagogy, all those kind of questions that you might have. I was a former Spanish teacher and curriculum leader in middle school, so I was a middle school teacher. And then I became a curriculum specialist at the district office. I also did teach virtual school through Florida Virtual School for several years. So I can feel a tiny little bit of the pain that you're feeling as you may be transitioning from a brick and mortar school to a virtual type setting. I've been very active and involved in my state and regional and national ACTFL organizations, and so I've been participating in a lot of those for many. And then I'm going to be the NEL, which is the National Network for Early Language Learning, and try and really help participants or help early language learning. Okay. And I see, is everybody able to hear me okay, Kristen? We have a couple other people here that are helping me out tonight. So today we've also got Kristen.
Yep. Michelle, a couple people are saying your volume is low.
Okay.
Someone was having issues, but they got it on. Another one says they have their volume on max, kind of low.
Okay, I will try and, is it a little bit better if I'm speaking up a little louder and leaning in maybe? So hopefully that will help a little bit.
I know with one of the attendees, I'm not sure what they did. I suggested checking their controls first, and then if their volume was up, maybe it had to do with their connection, and they could try logging off and logging back on perhaps.
Awesome. Well, if it does happen, so that brings the first thing is that if you do have a question or some sort of technical issue or concern, Kristen is here assisting today as kind of a producer, director, support person, and she is also an instructional strategist. So if there's anything that comes up that I forget, she might hop in and help remind me to not make sure to mention certain things and have some discussions with that. And we also have Jen Cornell, which she is one of the learning site, it's called a product owner, but she's basically our specialist learning site guru. So again, if we have any questions, if you have questions that come up and I'm not able to answer them, between the three of us, we are pretty capable of answering most things. And if we can't, we will get right back to you with the answer and follow up with that. Kristen will be answering some of the questions in the text box if they're kind of a personal question or a personal issue to you. We're also going to save some of the questions until the end if we feel that benefit from hearing the answers to the questions. So that's where we are today. And again, haven't found it yet where the question box is, and you can just type your question in there. As well as, if you notice, there is a handout area, and there are some tips for teaching virtually in there, as well as a learning site getting started guide that may help you later on after the call is over or after the webinar is over. All right, so we're gonna go, the handout is right there. And we have a couple outcomes for tonight. So this webinar is specifically, just so that you know, it is not in general how to move your classroom on to onto a virtual platform. It's really about learning how to use all of the resources, particularly our digital resources, of course, the learning site, the FlexText Explorer portfolio. And really, you may have been using Wayside products, but maybe you haven't really dug into the learning site yet really deeply, and now is really, you're kind of forced to maybe. So we want to make sure that everybody can navigate all of the online resources, find out where everything's at, and then how you can integrate the online components of the learning site to engage students, give feedback, promote self-assessment, and to do some of those things that you're particularly going to have to do in a virtual environment for the foreseeable future, at least. I'm going to go ahead and turn on. What? Hi, does somebody have a question? Hear a little bit of feedback. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Hopefully you're not getting, that you're able to hear me and not getting too much interference. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at the FlexText or the digital textbook. We're going to look at the content, which is found in Explorer. We're going to look at assignments, how to assign things to students, where they find them, the notification for them, that sort of thing. The grades, so how you grade something, where you find all of that information. We're going to look at the classroom forum, which is the discussion board. So that may be something that you will want to, dig into as a way to communicate with your class. We just, Debbie Espitia, one of the other instructional strategists, did a webinar on that just I think just 2 days ago, Tuesday. And that is recorded and able for you to look at too. So if you want more information specifically on the classroom forum, she just did a great webinar on that this week. And I'll show you where you're going to be able to find that a little bit later. And then at the end, again, we're going to have some question and answer time where you can kind of ask myself and the other instructional strategists any questions related to the learning site that you're looking to have us help you with. So we are just going to jump right in. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of just showing you slides of the learning site, we're going to go right in and we're going to do a live demo. So I'm going to show you around. We're going to go to different areas of the learning site, kind of see what's there. And then again, if you have any questions, you can put them in the questions bar, and Kristen and myself and Jen will answer those either as we go, or we'll try and get those answered at the end. So let me just switch over here quick to the learning site, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Okay, you should be able to see the dashboard. So I went to the learning site, so learningsite.waysidepublishing.com, and I logged in with my credentials. And the first place that you're going to land is going to be the dashboard. So on the dashboard, you're going to see all of the classes that you currently teach, okay? So none of you, I'm sure, are teaching all of these classes, French, Italian, Spanish, etc. So your dashboard isn't going to be quite this cluttered up, but you're going to have your classes that you have. And so I'm going to kind of just take you around and give you a general overview quickly. Some of you may have already, actually, before we start, let me do something really quick so that we can find out some little information from you. Let's do a poll really quick. So I'm gonna put a poll out there, and I want to check with you. The first question, let me launch this poll. is, what is your comfort level with navigating the learning site? Okay, right now, what is your comfort level with the learning site, navigating the learning site? So if you want to go ahead and answer that real quick, that'll kind of help me know what to go a little slower on, what to go a little quicker on. Is it still a goal? Can you do it with help? And are you pretty good at it and you can do it independently? All right. Got quite a few responses there. All right, looks like most people have entered, so let's go ahead and share those results. So we've got kind of a mix. Okay, so we've got a decent mix. So some of you, about 30%, this is still a goal, so probably haven't had as much experience with it. Others have maybe had a little bit, maybe not used with students yet, but using it on your own. And there is a good chunk that have already used this independently. So again, this specific webinar is really a basic overview. So if you are feeling like this is, you know, more basic and not as advanced as you were expecting, we are doing multiple different webinars. So like I said, the Classroom Forum is a special webinar. We've got one on assessment and feedback that will be in a couple weeks. So don't be afraid that if I know your time is very valuable. So if you don't feel like this is what you were looking for, you're always welcome to drop off and either email Wayside Publishing with your questions or wait for another webinar that's more advanced. But I'm happy to have you stay, but I just wanted to say that I want to make sure to value your time as well. So let's go ahead and look at the next poll. Let me see. So maybe you have some familiarity with the learning site navigation, but now I want to know, what is your comfort level with using the learning site with students? So if you want to go ahead and answer that, maybe you haven't had a chance to use with students, maybe you've used it quite a bit with students. All right. Okay, so this one is super interesting, our results. So we have got a very disparate kind of group. So we've got some that really are not very, you know, have not had a lot of experience with students, and we've got some that are and have been using those. So again, we're going to kind of go over the basic navigation and including using it with students. So for some of you, this is perfect. This is probably what you're looking for. And maybe for some of you, you might want to go to one of the more advanced webinars. That's totally up to you. All right, and the last one, if you are, how often, let's say pre-COVID-19, how often did you use the learning site, or do you use the learning site with students? Have you never tried assigning things or using it with students 1 to 3 times a month, 1 to 3 times per week, or daily? Like, what's your general experience with using it with the learning site with students? All right. Okay, great. So that one, again, we're going to see that there is a good chunk of people that this is the webinar. So 42% of you, this is really going to be what you're looking for, I hope. And 1 to 3 times a month. So you've kind of dipped your feet in, but you might not know all of the tips and tricks. If you've been using it daily or 1 to 3 times a week, again, you're welcome to stay. But just so you know that we are going to probably go over some basic information that you have already encountered. Okay, this really helps me both give you an idea of what we're doing, as well as you an idea of whether or not this is something that you wanted to participate in tonight. So thank you very much for sharing with that. Just like any formative assessment, that helps me know where to best help you this evening. All right, so we're back to the learning site demo. So here is my teacher account, and we're just going to kind of go over some specific areas. So the first thing I want to kind of show you is the 2 things that I always check out when I first come in and log in to my dashboard. And one of them is my notifications bell. So as a teacher, whenever you see some numbers there, that's going to tell you some information, right? And I can quickly kind of take a good look at what is going on in my class, who has submitted things, who hasn't, And I could go individually and click on, so Anna just attempted this quiz. I could click on that and see, you know, how Anna did on that if I wanted right from there. I can also go here to view all and see all of the notifications in one place. And then I might, you know, have a really high number up here, like 30 or 40, and I might go, yeah, I know everybody did their work. I'm just going to mark everything as red so that I can get rid of that little number by that bell. So I always check my notifications. And then a lot of times it's really a good idea. You can check the what's new. So this week we had some pretty exciting news, and that was that we have a Google Classroom integration. So if you have a Google Classroom, you're going to see some new things that are very recent that you're going to be very happy with. So I'll show you those. And again, there's a tutorial. You can download the tutorial and watch a video from here. So that's always a nice place to just see what the new improvements are. To get back, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And I'm actually going to go ahead and enter a course. I'm not going to show you how to do batch codes or create courses. Hopefully that you have that this late in the year. Even if you haven't used it with students, hopefully you've had that done. If not, there's another useful place to look, which is down here in the need help. So in the need help, when you click on that, you can find a getting started tutorial, a learning site at a glance, a nice sheet that kind of gives you a good basic overview of what everything is, and this knowledge base of tips and tutorials. So when we click on that, you're going to be brought to our Wayside video stage, and you can see some great resources, and they're being added all the time. We're adding resources to that. So, you know, different integration, Canvas, you know, Google Classroom, the learning site, the app, Schoology, different things like that, integrations. So you've got a lot of resources there that you can use as well. And then, of course, if you want to contact Wayside, if you have any feedback for us, either specific or just a feature that you wish you had, or a question, you know, anything like that, feedback right here, you can email, and then there is live phone support during those hours that you can access as well. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and enter our class. I'm just going to pick the Entre Culturas 1 for no particular reason. They're all laid out very similarly. So whether you have French or you have Triángulo Apreciado, whatever Wayside product you have, they're very similar in how they're laid out. There's little differences in the file names and things like that, but the general layout is going to be the same. Okay. And we're going to first start when you come into the dashboard and you enter your course, you're going to land on the content tab. That is both, to me as a learner, when I started with Wayside, this was both a wonderful thing and a terrifying thing, mostly because there is so much good stuff in here. And once you know the context of the resources that you're looking at, once you are a little more familiar with how the textbook and everything is laid out, you will easily be able to just go to Unit 2, click on the Comunica, which is the communicative section where the grammar and vocab are housed, and you can quickly go to the file folder that you need, find exactly what one you want, and you can just preview it, assign it, do all of the things right from there. If you are new, for those of you that are pretty new to the learning site, this content tab, if you just go straight there and start digging in, sometimes that can just be a little frustrating. I liken it to, let's say you have a highly effective teacher at your school, and she leaves and you get her classroom and she's got a filing cabinet in the middle of the floor. You know there's good stuff in there, but it's kind of hard to just dig through files without any context just to find what you're looking for. So I would recommend, and you're welcome to do that. Lots of people just like to dig in and start looking around, right? And that's great. We're going to show you. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute as well. But when you're first starting, I would maybe recommend a different avenue to access the content. So what I would tend to do is go over to the FlexText. So we're going to start in the FlexText, and then we'll look at the content tab in a minute. Okay, so we're going to start in the FlexText. Okay, the FlexText is your digital textbook. We've got a student edition here for you, as well as the teacher edition. So the student edition, if you had kids in class in front of you, which I don't know if any of you do anymore, probably not, you know, this is where you would project it on the screen. But even digitally, you could access the student textbook. You could use Loom or Screencastify, and you could do your lesson and walk them through. You would obviously want to be using the student FlexText for that and not the teacher FlexText. But for our planning purposes, we're going to look at the teacher edition. So I'm going to click on the teacher edition. And you will notice right away that if you all clicked on the teacher edition all at the same time, everybody would probably be on a different page. Okay, it's going to open to the last page that you accessed. So the last time I was in here, I was, for whatever reason, on page 178. Okay, so that's why it's not random. It's actually, you know, very convenient to keep you, keep not having to hunt around so much. But let's say I just accidentally randomly went. I'm going to show you some other great features before we actually look at the page itself. I'm going to show you some tools that go along with the FlexText that you may or may not have noticed or paid attention to. So when we go to the left to the control panel over here, the first thing we have is our index, and I can go ahead and just click on any of those links and go to that section. So that's the first way that I can easily navigate. I don't have to page through my hardcover of my book, looking for the unit or the whatever on family. Okay, I can go ahead and just click right on that heading, and it's going to bring me to the right area. Okay. Now, the other great thing about the FlexText is it is going to mirror the hardcover of the textbook, meaning that page 160 is going to look the same, other than it's not side by side, it's up and down, portrait, as the hardcover, okay, and the same as the student's edition as well. So that's one way I can hop back and forth easily, especially to two important areas that I would like you to make sure you don't ignore when you're looking at your online FlexText, and that is the teacher's edition introduction. So there's a lot of good stuff in there that talk about, your scope and sequence. I don't know if you noticed this, but things have gone a little crazy in the world. So you may not be following the same plan that you thought you were, a month ago, right? You may need to prioritize your content. You may prioritize the vocabulary that you really want them to get out of the rest of the school year. So you might want to pull up the scope and sequence and take a look and say, okay, well, you know what? We don't talk about this subject or this grammar, this, not even so much this theme. I really want this context to come up. For example, maybe you want them to talk about health right now. Maybe not. That might be too sensitive, but you might want to move your curriculum around. So I would recommend making sure you can go to the scope and sequence. You also may want to look at the next level, because again, if you teach level 2, you're going to get students that are going to obviously be at a different place than maybe you would have expected them to be, given the world wasn't going crazy right now. So you might want to just take a look at the level above you and below you and just kind of start thinking about what is the most important content that we really, really want to focus on. Because you will not be able to do it all, and you will not be able to go in order and do the things that you probably were planning to do. So I would highly recommend looking at some of those things, okay? If you're new to Wayside Interculturas in general, or if you haven't adopted us yet, we have had people that have come into the webinars just looking for information for the future. Unit organization and icons level is very, or at legends is very helpful. This icons legend, I don't know about you, but I only have so much brain space. And when I look at the textbook, I don't want to try and figure out, is this presentational writing or interpersonal writing based on a little picture that, depending on my level of tiredness, makes sense to me or not. So you could just take a screenshot of this. I took a screenshot when I first started working with Wayside, and I just tucked it right by my desk. And then I could quickly and easily identify what each of the activities were. I would also, besides the teacher's edition, so I'm going to make that smaller, so I'm going to just scroll down so far. I also would highly recommend you go down to the appendix. And again, just like in your hardcover, there's a lot of information here. Okay, there's rubrics, there's the the can-do statements. The one that I would particularly like to point out that not everybody realize are the instructional strategies. So, and we've got our scripts would be also maybe helpful at this point in time. And here are the different strategies. So we don't, at Wayside, all of the teacher tips and tricks are not just in the sidebars in the book itself. You always want to make sure you go to the end and you can see different, suggestions on how to present vocabulary, how to present, co-construct the grammar with the students, etc. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew and checked out those resources. Other things I want you to look up right here. We've got some really cool icons here. This one is a search. So if there is a key term that I wanted to look up, so let's say I wanted my students, they're stuck at home with their family, and so I wanted to find maybe some resources to help them, talk about their family. I could go ahead and just do a keyword search and then look through, for example, I can look and see, oh, they're going to talk about the family again in level 2, okay? Unit 3, and then they go through the different activities. I can click on that and it brings me to the page. So I can do a search. I can also do jump to. So if I'm in my hardcover book looking around and I decide, oh, let me go check out what resources, online resources are available for page 90, I can put page 190 in there and it will bring me to that page, jump me right to that page. Okay. The last thing I want to show you is the annotation. So students and teachers can annotate their resource. So I can go ahead and highlight, a little post-it note will come up, and I can now say maybe, let's turn this into a video and assign assign next week or whatever. I can make myself little notes as a teacher. I can do, students can write notes to themselves as far as content goes, etc. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we'll save that. And once I save it, it's going to go over here on the side panel, and then I can quickly go to that section when I need to access that again. So those are some little tips about the FlexText that I just wanted to kind of show you. The other one that took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out was this little caret right here, because when you're projecting, or let's say you're doing a screencast of something in the textbook perhaps, you want it to be a fuller screen. Okay, you can move your little table of contents, whatever that's called there, move that and make it smaller, and you don't have as much clutter. And then of course I could also, if I want to zoom into certain parts of that textbook, I can do that as well. Okay, all right, so the FlexText. Why did I say that I would prefer you, if you're brand new, to go to the FlexText than the content? And mostly that's to add context to what you're doing. So what I want to do is I'm just going to pick a communicative, so comunica section. And in Spanish, the vocabulary sections are called así se dice, and in the French, it's comme dit-on. And I apologize for my pronunciation in French, but that is going to be the vocabulary sections. And then the grammar sections are going to be called observa in Spanish and découvrons in French. So we're going to go to a vocab section, así se dice. So I'm just going to open that up. All right, so when you get to your textbook, your FlexText is going to give you everything that's in the textbook, all of the teacher's notes, and then more. So this wonderful little icon right here is what is going to bring you to all of the digital resources that you have available to you. Now, again, you can get all of these resources. You can go directly to the content tab to get them, but you may not have the context. So I can scan this page really quick and I can see, okay, so I know exactly what we're doing. We're talking about identity. We're describing ourselves. I'm talking about what I like and dislike. Okay, great. So now when I go and look at the accompanying resources, it makes a little more sense to me because all of these are going to be practicing or have something to do with this vocabulary concept. So así se dice one, okay? Notice there's a wide variety of resources. So we've got a document here and it shows that it's a PowerPoint, okay? When I click on that, it's gonna immediately download that PowerPoint to my computer. Now, not all levels have the PowerPoints. Okay, so Spanish 1, the Interculturas 1 does have the PowerPoint, and it also has an audio file of just, so the PowerPoint is with the picture and the audio file, and then it also has the audio file. Well, let's say you just want the audio file, you could just
Soy bilingüe. Me gusta hablar inglés y español.
Okay, so again, if you were in class, you could have just played that along with whatever this activity to kind of go through this. But again, if you were screencasting or something, you can also download this audio. Okay, so when I'm going to get to that in a second, but right now, any audio or video you can play right from the screen. Okay, right from the textbook. We've got flashcards. We've got something called a quiz. And I want right now to make sure that you're not confused, because in our learning management system, in our learning sites, a quiz is not a quiz in the sense of what the students or maybe you think. It's just the term for any activity, learning activity that can be graded. So for example, the flashcards isn't graded, right? It can be, you can complete them, you can see whether they looked at them, but it's not graded. Same with the PDF, the PowerPoint isn't going to be gradable or graded, but this activity is. So if you assigned this activity, it could be auto-graded or you could grade it by hand, one of the two, but it is a gradable sort of activity, okay? And it also, the other key thing I want to point out is it says extensión, okay? Or in the French, it's just going to say like supplemental. In French, though. So the extension activity, what that is that is an activity that is not in the textbook. It's additional. It's an extension of what's in the textbook. So you're going to have textbook activities, and then you're also going to have these extension activities. Okay. So you will see that with this así se dice 1, we have extension 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, if I click on any of these things and I say, okay, let me take a look at this. So I want to see if this is an activity I want to assign. Now, when I click on it, notice what happened. Okay, it went exactly to the file in that beautiful filing cabinet system. It went exactly where I want. I didn't have to click down a couple layers or try and dig down and figure out what was in there. I know now really quickly that everything in here, if I wanted to sign any of this, is going to be about a CSAT Essay 1. And it's all nice and quick, okay? So this extension right here, this extension activity, the title is on the top, and your controls of what you can do with that are on the bottom here. Preview, attempt, you can look at the grades of students that have turned it in, you can assign it, you can share it to Google Classroom, that's that share button there, and you can also do some different settings. Everything within that box is going to be related to this activity. So you could go then and look at what other activities are there, okay? So again, we've got the audio is here, but this time now, if I click on audio, I could also download that audio file. So if there's a student that doesn't have internet and they have a flash drive or something, you could download that file. You could download that file and embed it in a PowerPoint that you share with students, etc. Okay, so you have different options once you click on it. If I want to go back to the FlexText, all I have to do is right here, it's a quick link. I can either hit the teacher edition or the student one if I wanted to go there, and I can just get right back to where we just were. Okay, so using the FlexText to give you context, and then heading over to the content tab when you're first learning is kind of a little more intuitive way to do it, I think. So hopefully that will help you. So we're going to keep looking at some of these other options. Actually, we're going to keep going down here because right here we have an activity. So here's an activity, let's say we want to do with students. So when I click on that activity, you're going to see that this is a listening activity, that little icon there, right? And they can either do this activity that the audio was above right here, just they could have just written it on a piece of paper, or I guess not that anymore, but they could do it from the book. Or if they click on that, there's a digital option for completing that. So I wanted to just show you what that looks like. So we have a preview button. If you look at that, you can get an idea of what it would be. Okay, so it's just going to be, so this would be a self-graded listening activity. So that might be one that you might want to assign your students to practice. Okay, they're going to listen to the audio file.
¿Quién soy? Look at the photographs.
Okay, and then they're just going to go ahead. And now at this point, if I decided, yep, I like that, I could assign it from right here. There's numerous places that you can assign things, so it's convenient. You don't have to remember one, but you could assign it right from the preview mode. Okay, I'm going to go back because I'm going to show you another place to assign it in a bit. All right, again, anytime you see that compass, there's going to be some content, digital content that you could do. Okay, so for example, for this one, students could do this activity in the book, or we have a PDF of it. Okay, now the PDFs you could download, okay, or if you have Google Classroom, you could share that with them. Students could download this, they could type their answers. So it is, once they download it, they could type their answers in there and save it, and then they could upload it into their classroom management system. You know, if you have Canvas or Schoology or some system like that, they could upload those to turn those into you if you wanted them to. So that's another option for this activity, for example.
Michelle?
Yes.
We had a request if you could show a student version of an assignment. So is it possible to go into a student account real quick?
Yeah, do you want me to attempt to see it that way? I can just do that. Yeah, okay, so let's take a look. We'll just do this activity. Thanks, Kristen. So let's look at that same activity, that listening activity again. And so remember how we just previewed it, and that just kind of gave us as a teacher a snapshot of what it looked like. If we actually go to attempt, we're going to see what the student sees. Okay, so this is what the student would see for this. You'll notice it shows how many questions it is. If there was a time limit on it, that would be there. This is a setting. These are settings that teachers can do that I'll show you how. So in this case, this assignment, for them to pass it, in other words, they get 3 attempts. I'm going to give them 3 attempts. For them to pass it, they need an 80%. Okay, so the students see all that before they start. And then when they click start, you'll notice in this case, it looks just the same. Okay, almost the same.
¿Quién soy?
Okay, and then they're going to go ahead and choose whichever one matches. And when we did that, when we looked at the preview, the answers were in the blank. So we could go and do that, and then the student would just submit. It's going to ask them to confirm their status if they really want to submit it. And this one was auto graded, and you could see what I did. It's in red, and my random clicking gave me a whopping 17%, and I did fail, and I have how many? I had 2 more attempts that I could then practice or listen a little bit more and take it again. All right. Is that good? We can look
that
at
was great.
Thank you, more on that go too, so we can kind of take a look if you want to see some more too, because there's a good variety of them, of different activities. What I did want to show you is as well, let me keep scrolling here, and we'll go to the next one because I know there's one here. The video icon. Okay, so if you, and again, this is going to come in handy. It's very handy in the classroom, but even as a teacher, if you are, like I said, if you're doing screencasting, you could pull up this video. So here's the video. So in this, it says read the dialogue, look at the video, etc. And so I could pull that up and I could play this video right from here. Okay, I've got some options here as well, where I could do picture in picture, which means I can close this will move, and I could move this video around. So if I wanted to, I could have this up here, and I could have the answers that they're looking for right down here. Okay, as I play the video, and I'm walking students through this and even playing the video while it's being screen recorded if we want. And of course, I could assign this video for them to watch on their own as well. Okay, so again, when I click on that compass, notice that these are all the resources that are available for el verbo ser, the verb ser. So if you just want your students to, maybe some teachers are not giving new content right now. You're going to really deepen what they already know. Okay, so maybe you want to do some good. I don't even want to call it review. I just want to, deeper understanding of what their, the concepts you've already learned are in different ways. Maybe here's the observa. We've got a document to go with it. We've got a learning activity that could be graded. We have another PDF, okay, that goes along with the video, as well as then 1, 2, 3, 4 different extension or practice activities that students could complete. Again, I could go ahead and click on this, and now I'm in the right folder over in the content tab where all of these things are, and I could preview the activities. I can attempt them so I can see what it would look like. I could see the grades if any students have already completed them. I could assign things, share to Google Classroom, and then set up settings. These are those settings we talked about for each of the individual assignments. Okay, so that is really the highlights of the FlexText that I wanted to show you, combined with that content tab. So we're going to look now at assigning. So how do you assign work to students? So we're going to go in here. Well, let's just go where we were. It's nice and easy. And let's just say I want to go here and I want to assign some practice with el verbo ser. Okay, so this brings me, so we're on extension 1, observa el verbo ser. Again, I can preview it. We can take a look at it. All right. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, nope, I just know that I want to do this. So right here, I can go ahead and hit assign. So this is another one of the ways that you can assign. There's multiple ways you can assign things. One of the great things about the program with the learning site is that I can differentiate, and I might assign this activity to Anna and Gabrielle and maybe not list it. Okay, so maybe I'm going to give her, maybe she's a native speaker and I'm going to give her not a matching, something a little more hefty, or maybe she's already demonstrated that she knows it and I don't need to assign it to her for whatever reason. If I want to only give it to certain kids, I could do that. I could also maybe take this activity as a little mini assessment, a formative assessment, and maybe I don't want every kid to have the same one. So again, I could assign different kids, different students, different activities. In this case, I'm going to assign all three of them to all of them the same one. Then I'm going to go ahead and put due dates on there, okay? Again, in the classroom, maybe I would assign this and say, it's pretty easy, I'm just going to assign it for tomorrow. But if you're doing asynchronous learning and they're at home, you might want to, of course, consider some later deadlines. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. High schoolers are night owls, so I might put it due at 3 o'clock in the morning, for example, or I could choose no due date. That's fine too. And then there's another great feature that I could assign it right now, and it's going to show up on their calendars right now. Or I could on Sunday night try and pace out my week. I could get everything ready, and I could assign it on a delay. So I could say, okay, I want it due on the 10th. But I don't want them to really access it yet because we have a live meeting, a synchronous meeting on Monday. So I don't want them to access it till after that, let's say. So I could go ahead and assign with a delay as well. Okay, so and it wouldn't be available until that point in time. Okay, so we've got that as a way to assign it. So now if I go over to the assignments tab, I'm going to see all of the things that I've assigned. Okay, so over the last couple days, these are all of the things that I have assigned. Okay, I can also assign from here, from the assignments tab. Okay, there's multiple ways to do this. The thing about this tab is it's wonderful if you know exactly what you want to assign and you want to bulk assign things. So you want to assign things several at once, for example. So let's just look at that same section. We were in the we're back up here in Unit 1. And we were in the observa, and remember we were looking at the verb ser. So if I said, oh, you know what, I looked at all of those extension activities and I'm going to give them like 2 weeks, but I want them to do all of it, I can go ahead and click off all of them that I want, or I can drag it over and go ahead and assign these all at once. Okay, now something in here I've already assigned to one of them, so it's not going to let me do that again. So I would have to remember, and I'm pretty sure it was this one. So we'll go in, there you go. So I took out the one, we can't double assign it to a student. There's a little safety measure to not do that. I'm going to select all of the students, and again we're going to go through the same steps as far as the due dates and all of that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and assign it now. All right. So, yep.
When you're back in the bulk, could you open it up for a second, please? And go click on the bulk. Yep, add assignment. And at the very top where it says show all, click on there and that drop down, and teachers can see whether it's been assigned to any student or at least to one to help filter it down a little bit
so let's
for them.
In. So let's go ahead and so this way, when I've chose this, not assigned to any students, and it's only going to show up then the ones that weren't assigned to any students. Correct?
Yes.
Nice. See, I even learned something. That's why she is the expert at this. That's awesome. Thank you. So right up top there, so assigned to at least one or not assigned to any students. Fantastic. Great. So that would be the assignment tab. You can archive assignments, you can remove assignments. If you do archive them, you can go ahead and click on it so that you can show the archived assignments as well. This is the default view for teachers, okay? In a list like this, again, it's going to show you the date you assigned something, the date it was due. Notice some information here about how many students have completed it versus how many it was assigned to. You can edit and change the due dates and things like that, for example. And then if you click on it, the students, you can get more information. So every time you click on any sort of, any sort of area, you're going to get a deeper kind of view. So Anna here, she viewed it on time, but Gabriel and Lisbeth have not even looked at it yet. Okay. So those are some of the features. Here we've got the calendar view. So as a teacher, you have both of these views, as do the students. When students see it, they're going to see the calendar view is going to be the default view, okay? And they're going to see some symbols, overdue, requires grading, okay? So I can see right here that one is something that I need to grade. So I could just go right there, view the results, and I could go in and do grading. So I can see exactly what Anna did. Okay, she started this one about a minute and then she canceled it. And then I can go ahead and get rid of that if I want to, so I don't accidentally grade it. And there we go. And you can see that she finally did grade that one, or to finish that one. And then I could go in and listen to her recording.
Hola, ¿dónde vives?
Okay. And then I can go in and give her some sort of grade and some feedback. Okay, so I would give her some feedback. I could also download that recording, okay? And I could also add specific comments at specific places. So let's say,
¿Cómo es tu casa?
Okay. So if I had some feedback for her after that particular statement that she said, I can tag that spot at 8 seconds and I can leave her specific feedback on what she just said in her recording, okay? And then I would go ahead and save that if necessary, if that's what I wanted to do.
Michelle?
Yep.
Before you leave that, do you want to
Yep.
show them how to leave an oral comment as well?
Sure, thank you. So I could do the same thing right here where it says, so let me go a little further.
¿Cómo es tu casa?
If I wanted to stop there, and right now I'm recording the comment so I could give her oral feedback as well. Thank you, Kristen, for reminding me. And then it's going to, gotta shut it off. And then it's going to save. And then when she gets to that spot, she can go ahead and click and hear. Right now, okay. So you can do both oral and written feedback. Thank you. All right, so we're going to keep moving along and we don't have a lot of time. We're doing pretty well here. So we've got assignments. We looked at the grades. Let's go back and notice when I left the assignments tab and I clicked on Anna and I looked at her situation, it automatically brought me back over to the grades tab. Up here, we've got some, I don't remember what they're called in the official computer world, but they're like, what are they called? Breadcrumbs. Yeah, breadcrumbs, I think it is. I was thinking carrots, but I'm like, that's not right. So I can easily get back instead of going back. If I want to go and see who else I need to do on this activity, I can go back to grades here. And here is that same activity. If anyone else would have done it, which they didn't, if Gabriel or Lisbeth would have done it, I would have had a number here under evaluation, and that would tell me that I had to grade that, and then I could click on it and I would be able to grade that assignment. Okay, so I can use these breadcrumbs up top here to go to both just to the to Anna's grades, okay, to that particular one, to a particular assignment. I can just move my way back as I need to go to different things, okay? Right here is the option for Google Classroom, and I'm not connected to a classroom, but you can go to the integrations page for Wayside, or I don't know if it's under the need help yet, but there are tutorials if you have a Google Classroom that you could access that information as far as exactly how you share something with Google Classroom. It should be pretty intuitive to be able to get that done though, but we can, the help desk can help you figure that out as well. All right, so we've looked at content. We've looked at the FlexText. We've looked here, we've got students, a students tab. We've looked at assignments. We've looked at grades a little bit. Here is the students tab. So one of the really awesome things that I think could be very beneficial to you and your students when you are teaching in the time of COVID or whatever I don't think we've settled on a name of what this experience is going to be, but in this new situation, we have online portfolios where students are able to self-assess their progress and their proficiency in the language based on the can-do statements. And so this is where you would be able to access the student's portfolio. And I'm going to show you it from the teacher point of view, but I'm also we're going to go into the student point of view and take a look at that as well. I do not believe this is a brand new student. Oh, she did one thing down here. Okay, so we've got the can-do statements. This is her personal portfolio that I'm looking at. Notice here we can filter all of these can-do statements because there's a lot of them and we might not want to search and search and search. We can filter by whether something's been completed or not completed. We can filter by the category of whether it's an intercultural can-do statement or whether it's a communicative can-do statement. And we can filter by unit. So we were looking at examples from the family unit and house just a minute ago. So we're going to filter by unit 3. And you can see all in one place all of the can-do statements. So I can see here that Anna went in and did a self-reflection. Okay, notice she left some evidence or some sort of comment about it. There's an X here, so I haven't reviewed it yet, and this is what she said her progress is on this can-do statement. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on it, and we're going to go through this from a student perspective, but basically she first is able to decide, basically her level 1, a 2, or a 3. Okay, can she do it? It's a goal still. Can she do it with help or support, or can she do it independently, essentially? And then she just left a comment about this is my reflection, but that's where she would have written her self-reflection of why, or her evidence of why she believes that she is a 3 on this can-do statement. As a teacher, then I can go in after I've either viewed her evidence or read her reflection, and I can leave her some feedback. So I could add a recording. I could type something. I would pretty much say, Anna, that is not a terribly reflective reflection, or whatever it would be. But I can add a recording as well, so she can hear. I think with the online situation as it is, with us doing a lot of asynchronous teaching, or some teachers doing asynchronous teaching, when I did virtual school, the power of your voice is very powerful. So whereas they may not read a comment from a teacher, maybe they're going to listen to one where they can actually hear what the teacher has to say, and they can't just scan it and kind of not pay attention. So I could also add a file if I wanted to give her some additional support. So maybe she said, you know what, I'm at a 1. I just can't really do this yet. I need some help. well, I might have a video, I might have some additional document or support that I could upload and give her to push her, to help her reach the next level in her proficiency. And, you know, I can also just leave, thank you for your reflection. Okay, so depending on how you want to do that, and then she would go ahead and be able to see that. Okay, let's take a look at what it looks like from the student point of view. So let me get the student site up here. Okay, so we are in a student account. So this is Anna's account here now. Notice she has some notifications here. She got the new assignments that we just added, okay, are going to be in there. Her courses are in here. Pretty much it looks similar to the teacher's edition that we looked at, or the teacher's view. She's going to click on her course, okay, and you can see a couple things right off the bat, right? So right here, they can never say, well, I didn't know I had anything to do. They've got a nice little arrow there, and we've got some notifications up here as well. So Anna has the option to just click right on this assignment here, and it brings her right to the calendar, and she can go ahead and, you know, pick whatever one is due closest to her, and she can do that itself. Or remember when she was in here, we've got the little exclamation point, so she can go to the assignment calendar there as well, okay, and click on any assignments to complete from there. Her portfolio, since we're looking at that, is right up here along the top. So we're going to click on the portfolio, and she's going to have access. So Anna, let's just pretend for now that she is in Spanish 3. She's in Entre Culturas 3, and she took Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. She'll be able to see her portfolios, and those portfolios will go along with her. They're not in your class, like whatever period 3, Spanish 1, or whatever it is. They belong to her when she logs in with her credentials, okay? So she could see her growth in the language from level 1, level 2, level 3, along with evidence. So this is a powerful tool for students to really be able to take charge of their own language learning and to really own that. So this is something that is a great self-reflection tool. So as a teacher, if I taught Anna and I have her in level 3, I would be able to see her portfolios from 1 and 2, but I wouldn't be able to comment on them. Okay, so I would not be able to go in and give feedback on past years of her language learning, but I can go into the year that I have her. So we're going to go into the portfolio, and notice it looks very similar. Okay, so again, we can go ahead and filter by. We're going to filter by unit. Okay, I could also filter by not completed yet. Okay, and I want to filter by the communicative one, so it gets the list a little bit more manageable for Anna. And this might be something with your online students, your asynchronous students that you're teaching. You might just want them to go in to their can-do statement and really look at these and see if they can do them where they're at. So can they ask and tell about family members and pets? And they could go in and give themselves a self-reflection on that. They could add a file. So if they made a PowerPoint, they made an iMovie, they made something, they did something where they are doing this activity. I can ask and tell about family members and pets, and they're proving this is their evidence. They could go ahead and upload something like that. They could add a recording. So I could click that and start recording. They could add a video of themselves. Okay, so I could allow the camera. I could go ahead and give a conversation. I might even grab my brother or my no friends and stay away, but my mom or something, and I could have her on the screen with me, and we could record something together, and we could start recording. I could also get rid of that. I could also add a quiz. Remember, a quiz is just a learning activity Okay, so let's say she did this quiz and she's like, you know what? I got an 85. I passed it. I got an 85. I'm gonna click on that and I'm gonna add that as my evidence of my level of reflection. Okay, and multiple things. So she could have a video, add a quiz, and something else with it if she wanted. And then I could go ahead and save that. So this might be something that would be beneficial for your students to do while they're at home and to help them take be self-directed in their learning. You could go as far as having them choose which of the can-do statements they would like to work on, learn more about, give them some more choice, something like that. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that option. Even if you've been using the learning site, you might not have been doing much with the portfolios.
Hey, Michelle, we got a question, if you could stay on the student side of portfolio, about student work being able to be automatically added to their portfolio. We can show them how to flag an activity. So if you go to the content side.
All right, hold on. Where do you want me to go? You want to just go to?
Yep, go to Explore. Or I'm sorry, go to Grades.
Got it.
Click on a quiz. Yep, any quiz. And you right up at the top there, language portfolio, students could flag items whether they want to add it now or flag for later. And then if they flag for later, it'll show up in that pop-up that Michelle showed us, or they could add it right away. It would go directly to the can-do statement.
And they can pick whichever one that applied to.
Yep. So I hope that answers the question that came in.
Fantastic. All right. And then we could go ahead and have them do it straight from there. Awesome. Great. Anything else, Jen, that I
No, that was just because the question came in. That's
fantastic. Yep. Awesome. All right, so we're going to move this back. And we'll pull it back up and again in a second. The last thing that I want to show you before question and answers, let me get back to, let me get a, I got to find my thing again. All right, let me open a new window. I lost my learning, so I have too many screens going open. All right. Apologize. Okay, new window. Okay. So the last part that I wanted to show you was the classroom forum. I think until this whole coronavirus sort of thing, it might have been one of the hidden gems that got overlooked once in a while. And I think it's a very powerful tool for right now, for the circumstances that we're in particular, but it's also just a great tool in general when things get back to normal next fall at the latest, to really build community within your classroom and to be able to allow students to interact and to share things. So when you log into your course, so whichever one you're in, and we're going to look at just Entre Culturas. Now, you may have noticed, if you've been using Entre Culturas or Entre Cultura for a while, you may have noticed that there are some activities that have a forum question attached, like a reflection question, and they can go in there and leave a response. But you may not have noticed or paid attention that there's just a general forum, a classroom forum, an empty one, that you are able to use. So when you first log in, you'll go to the very first page and you're going to go down here to Classroom Forum. So the Classroom Forum, then, this is, again, it's like a discussion board, and you can use this in any way that you would like. So this is going to be something, and again, you could share it to Google Classroom. That's what that little icon is. But Debbie Esquitia did like I said, maybe an hour-long webinar just on ideas of how to use the Classroom Forum. But essentially, there's so many things that you could go ahead and do with this. So for example, depending on if you have a classroom management system, you can just type, your notes to your class. You may not be meeting with them live. Not all schools are allowing that or encouraging synchronous learning. So you can use this as a way to give input in the target language, either written. So if you write out what you ever want to say, or if you do a screencast of some sort, or a video or a PowerPoint that you've done and narrated for your students, you could add a file. You could also add an audio recording, or better yet, you could add a video recording. You could put it in the post, giving some comprehensible input. You could start that recording, do some moving around and do some CI, show some pictures, so anything like that. And you could post that. You could just ask a simple question, okay? So you could just ask, ¿Cómo están ustedes? How are you doing, right? And then post it, and students would be able to go in and reply. So they would be able to start a thread of how to reply. Now, you'll notice also there are, you can put a link to a YouTube video. You can put, you can embed. Again, Debbie did a wonderful presentation on this, and I don't have the time to, we don't have the time together now to go into all the tips and tricks. So I highly recommend you go to our remote learning page, which I'm going to show you in just a minute before we start taking questions, and get some of the really good tips that she gave in that webinar. But you can add pictures. So if I wanted to grab a picture, I could go ahead and copy and paste that into here, and you would have a picture prompt, and students could reply to that prompt as well. Okay, so what that looks like then, let's look at it from the student point of view, what the forum looks like. Let me pull that back over here. Okay, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go down here. They're gonna access the classroom forum, and then they would click on the video. So whatever it was you were doing, so you really do one, but they would be able to do that. And then they could, of course, and you could tell them what to do. They could go ahead and give their own video as a response to that. So we could do some really good message board synchronous sort of activities here. They could also respond to other students. Okay, and the video recording is limited to 10 minutes, but that's a long time. That's quite a while for a prompt under these circumstances. Okay. I think, and Kristen, Jen, and did you guys have anything else that you can think of that you would like to add? Otherwise, I think we could probably take a few questions, and then I can pull up the site where you can access this webinar after the fact, as well as Debbie's webinar will be there about the classroom forum. Will be on the same site.
Sounds great.
All right, so let me show you where to go. I have, whoops. So if you go to waysidepublishing.com, I want to show you several things here. So as well as getting information about all the titles, this Learning Site tab is a fantastic place to get a lot of your questions answered. So there's information about the FlexText, Explorer, rostering, getting started guides, integration. So again, Google Classroom, if you need some help with that, Canvas, Schoology, any of those integrations. And then this tab right here, oh, there's the Google Classroom one all by itself. This one right here, the remote learning, is where we are curating a lot of the professional development that we are doing. The webinars are scheduling. So as we add more of these special in-depth webinars, so the forum one, for example, it will also be listed down below here. It's not up yet because it just happened, but there's also going to be those listed in here, as well as upcoming ones. For again, Kristen and I will be doing one on assessment and feedback using the learning site, and just in general some tips for assessing for learning in the time of COVID. I would also recommend you check out our Proficiency Talks, which is our blog, which there are just some really good ones on here lately. Like, it's bringing out some really great discussions, talking about mindfulness and how we can do that with everything that's going on with ourselves and our students. It's a great one, just came out yesterday too, about synchronous versus asynchronous learning by one of our curriculum coordinators, Jen Carson. And then online learning, just some tips and some things that Diego Ojeda kind of learned as he was transitioning. You know, some teachers are a week or so of the rest of us. So there's some free downloads and some resources on this page, and we are continuing to add to those all the time. All right, Kristen, did you want to, are there any questions that?
Yeah, we have a couple here. One just came in about the classroom forum that you were just talking about. And I wasn't sure, so I thought I'd ask you and Jen. I'm sure one of you will know the answer. When you put a link in the classroom forum, is it a live link? Like kids can click on it and it will take them to the website or the video or whatever you're looking to?
It does. And when
can you show us that maybe?
Yep, let me actually, so let's go back. Because it does, when you do that, it gives you the option to also open it in the same window or open it in a different window. So that's handy to do too. So let's walk through that really quick. Let me find any sort of website. We'll do one with my China trip. All right, so let's command. All right, so let's go back here. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so when you go in, and we're gonna go in and I can highlight and click link. I'm gonna go ahead and put that link in there, and then notice there's that little open in a new tab. So you're definitely gonna wanna put, I would think you're gonna wanna send them to another tab so they don't lose this. Click OK, post, and when you click on it, now it is confusing because it doesn't look like it. It doesn't have that blue, or it's not blue or purple or whatever. But when you do click, notice when you do click on that, it is a live link that goes there.
So what they could do for students to think it were a link would be to change the color of the font to blue. You want to show them how to do that?
Absolutely. So we can do that. And right here, change the color to blue, and we can trick them. Because you're right, that's what they think. Everybody thinks of blue when they do that. So then we could go ahead, we're posting again, and then we can also, there we go, China trip. And it goes right there. Good. Any other forum questions?
I haven't gotten any other questions about the forum. I did share the link to the webinar with someone who asked for it, and it, like you said, it will be in the remote learning site soon. We will remind marketing to get it up there as soon as possible.
Sounds good.
When you were talking about Google Classroom and sharing assignments to Google Classroom, there was a question about Canvas. Can that also be done with Canvas?
Jen?
Yeah. Sure, I can talk on that. I was had to unmute myself. Hi, everybody. We do have integration with Canvas. It's a little different than the way Google Classroom sets up their integration. So each learning management system has its own set of rules and how they can do different integrations. So Michelle, if you go to our Wayside Publishing website and you click on the integrations tab, like you were showing us before, those drop downs, you will see some guides that have been created about Canvas. There are two ways that we integrate with Canvas. One is, and they both have access to the learning site, complete access, just a preference, maybe how you or your district prefers to have that set up. So Michelle is showing you some guides here that we have along with a little video tutorial. And if that's something that you're interested in getting set up, just contact your account manager and they can set that up for you. But like I said, it's different than the Google Share, because that's the way Google has their setup, and Canvas and Schoology have done different things.
There you go.
And then since we're talking about the LMSs, is there any way for grades to be shared with either a school's regular gradebook or through Canvas or Google Classroom?
That's a great question, and it's a question we get all the time. So as Michelle showed you on the learning site in the grades area, there's a place to export grades. For now, we just have a downloadable Excel spreadsheet. But like I said, we listen to your feedback, and this has been something that teachers are asking for. And the software development team is working really hard to make sure this happens for you guys. So just stay tuned, look at the What's New or newsletter to see when that's out and ready for you guys.
Right there. I forgot to show that. So I'm glad you asked that. So again, if you export the grades, you can pick their highest grade, their last grade, I don't know why you'd ever take their first grade, but maybe, you know, you could do their date range. You can do export assigned or attempted, and then you would export those to a spreadsheet, and then you would have to transfer those over to your grading system.
Mm-hmm. Since we're in the grade, can you go like into actually assignments, not grades, but assignments, and click on calendar view? Because I had this question and I answered it in the background, but in case anybody else is wondering this question, when there are multiple assignments, for example, like on the 8th there or on the 10th where it says 3 more or 2 more, you notice 2 are showing and then there are 3 more. The person was wondering if they show up in the order they were assigned. And so I tried it back here, and they do. Yeah, they do show up. So the first one shown, so actividad 31 paso 2 there, would be the first one that you assign to your students. The next one is the next one. So if you want them to do things in order, and you assign them in that order, that's how they'll show up on the student's calendar view.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good answer. Awesome. Any other?
We just got one in. I'm just reading it to you right now. So it says, Jennifer's asking, how can I get to be as expert as all of you?
Lots of practice. No, it does. I will say, on all seriousness, it does get much easier as you get into it. And, you know, the first year learning any textbook, even the second year learning any textbook and resources, it just takes time and patience with yourself. And I think a lot of people right now were thrown into, like, I will say I'm kind of feel bad, because when I first started training this summer to teachers that just got the textbook, I said, oh, the first year, you know, just get to know the textbook and the resources. And if you don't really dig into the learning site, you know, and use it with students, that's okay. Well, that was probably bad advice looking in hindsight, right? But, you know, as you get to use it a little bit more, and you're going to probably get lots of opportunity now to use it, you'll get better all the time. So, and we're here to support you if you have questions. So.
And Michelle showed that Need Help button has some guides and tips. There's some quick pages that you could print out or just have on the screen behind you if you're like, where did Michelle show me? I have to start from FlexText, or how can I do this, and where to go and navigate a little bit.
Can you show us that help button again, Michelle? We can't see it on your screen right now.
I know, I'm like, it's hiding, right?
Yeah.
Why is it hiding? I think oh, I don't. Okay, hold on. It is here. For whatever reason, I think my downloads are hiding it. Oh, see, it's right over here.
Can you scroll over a little bit, or no?
It won't let me for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's right there. See that little tiny right there. The corner. I don't know why. All of a sudden it disappeared, but it's my computer, not the website for sure. So, oh, there we go. Right there. Okay. And we are, as a team, we're creating videos and support systems for customers all the time. So just keep looking, and we have lots of help for you. Anything else?
There are no more questions, just a lot of comments about how wonderful you were and how helpful this webinar was.
I'm glad y'all.
Yeah, lots of people got some good information out of it. So thank you, Michelle and Jen.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you so much. You even got out of here a little bit early, so that's kind of nice. I'm sure you have plenty of things that you can do with your evening. We're welcome. I'm welcome to stay. I don't mind staying on for a few more minutes if you have any other questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful night, and let us know. Again, right here, if you have questions, you can always email us, right, at the info@waysidepublishing.com. So if you have any additional questions, and whoever answers that will get that to the right person, whether it's who is my account manager, I don't know who that would be. Go ahead and just email, and that will get it funneled to the right person, whoever that might be. Okay, have a wonderful evening, and take care of yourself. Well,
we just got one more question.
Oh, that's fine. Cool.
It says, can you let people know that there's a Facebook community for Entre Culturas?
Oh yeah, and tell me, what is the title of it? I know it. I could go on Facebook.
Tanya, can you share that real quick? Just type it in the question panel again, the exact title of that Facebook community. Let's see, give her a second to get it typed in.
I know it's Spanish teachers using Entre Culturas.
Entre Culturas, maybe, yeah, something like that.
Yes,
you get the right title, right?
She just confirmed it. Tanya says it's Spanish teachers using Entre Culturas.
Fantastic. And that's not something that's run by Wayside. That's actually run by the teachers. Tanya
actually started it, the one who just posted that comment.
Oh, that's awesome, Tanya. I didn't know that. So yeah, so a great, just teacher to teacher advice and support and sharing resources. And there is one for French now too, I believe.
Yes, Prof, P-R-O-F-S. I don't speak French, so Prof de Entre Culture.
That was better than mine. Awesome. So check that out as well, and you can get some support in that community as well. Awesome.
And Michelle, if I can add, I know you had the need help button, but the feedback that you all provide to us, whether it is in the Facebook group, because I know we are also members of those groups to help support you all in case there are questions, but like it's not run by Wayside, it's run by Tanya and the teachers, which is so amazing. But for us here at Wayside, as you're using our products, it's really important. The feedback that you can give us, things that you are enjoying or things that you wish you saw, because we read them and we take them to heart, and the features that get built truly do come from our teachers and the wonderful feedback that you guys give us.
Oh. Awesome. All right. Well, have a great night.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Michelle.
Bye.
Thanks, Kristen.